And welcome back to America Can We Talk. I love my second hour Right View Roundtable, and tonight, and I love when they join me the first hour too. So right now I have two of them joining me this evening, Lori Medina and Lori Guerra. Yep, Lori and Lori Show.
Yep.
And we have online, I do believe, our guest this evening, who is Maria Espinoza. Hello. Do we have Maria?
Yes.
Okay, well, there you are. Hello. So glad you could join us. That was probably something on my end. I mentioned to our listeners before we got started in this segment that you are the co-founder and national director of the Remembrance Project. And I know what it is, but I'd love if you would just tell our listeners a little bit about what it is.
Yes, Debbie. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We started the Remembrance Project in 2009, and we advocate for families whose loved ones were killed by someone who should not have been in the country in the first place. My husband and I here are based in Houston. We just relocated up to Washington, D.C., and, we're just busy trying to save lives of Americans who might be victimized in other states and Texas and all over the country, and raising awareness of what is taking place right here in America.
I love this. I know your organization, I don't know if you personally, but your organization was part of the Republican convention, I believe, right? You had people on stage one evening. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Why that was so powerful for our listeners, if you weren't watching, is because you can read statistics and numbers and the kind of abstract threat that perhaps some people who are illegal aliens in this country may commit crimes. But when you see family members who've lost, sons and daughters and husbands and wives, and it makes this real. And, I know people could say, well, but there are all sorts of terrible crimes that happen. People lose people, but all of this crime that you're focusing on, Remembrance Project, is crime that didn't have to happen.
Correct. Every single crime committed by an illegal alien here in our country was preventable, and that's our point that we're trying to make. And we also do this, Debbie, with our Stolen Lives quilt banners, which we have created a visual memorial. It's a 6-foot-long, digitally printed, full color by 3 feet tall, and on each 6-foot banner we memorialize 3 Americans. And we connect the dots with this quilt. We basically do the job that the liberal media or the mainstream media is supposed to be doing, is raising awareness, sounding the alarm that all of these Americans would still be here with their families, going to school, maybe being, a police officer or a lawyer, or just helping out their elderly parents and be by their side. And this is how our families are suffering. It's a trickle effect, as you know, Debbie. It's not just one solitary killing, but the entire family is affected, and thus the community is also affected.
We do. I'm glad you're saying all that. I couldn't agree more. We're speaking, if you've just tuned in tonight, with Maria Espinoza, the co-founder and national director of the Remembrance Project. I want to ask one question. Lori and Lori may have questions, but the one I want to ask you is, do you take a position on the subject of sanctuary cities?
Oh, absolutely. That's actually why the Remembrance Project was created, because right here in Houston, there was a police officer by the name of Henry Canales who was shot. And the report there on the news, my husband and I were watching it, and they mentioned another killing of a Houston police officer by the name of Rodney Johnson, who had been previously shot. And Officer Johnson's wife filed a lawsuit against the city of Houston, and it had to do with sanctuary city policies and to remove those policies. And this is the first time we ever heard of sanctuary city policies, and my husband and I wanted to, sound the alarm. And once we went around to officials, we naively thought that they somehow didn't know, but it just even saddened us more, because they absolutely knew. Our politicians know what is taking place, and creating these safe havens for illegal aliens all throughout Texas, but all over the United States as well. So, here we are 7 years later, Debbie, still fighting sanctuary city policies are still in place. You can see some of these major cities where Democratic mayors have dug in and have created slush funds for illegal aliens, and they flat out say they will protect illegal aliens and that they're safe in their communities. This is aiding and abetting, and I just don't understand, Debbie, how far down our America has slid down that slippery slope of being very chaotic rather than a civil community or society.
Yeah, the word I always think of is lawless. Simply lawless. Sanctuary city, by the way, I assume all listeners know, it means a city that simply will not honor federal immigration law, so that when they have someone detained or arrested and they will not follow procedures that federal government requests to be sure this person, before they are released again, whether or not they are an illegal immigrant, whether they should be processed through ICE and removed. They essentially harbor illegal aliens. Okay, Lori Medina, I think you have a question, right?
Hey, Maria, it's Lori Medina.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
Good to talk to you.
Doing well.
Yeah.
Nice talking with you.
Yeah, it is. Hey, got a question. We keep hearing that there's going to be immigration legislation coming down the pike at some point with the Trump administration leading the charge, which we're all looking forward to. I'm curious to know if you have had any impact on that upcoming legislation, or there's going to be anything to make these victims whole. These victims of these crimes.
Right. We're doing our best, Lori. And back in April of 2015, I, along with 3 other Latinos, and I say that because we penned a letter under America First Latinos, another initiative of the Remembrance Project, we sent a letter to every governor in the United States asking for an office for the victims of illegal alien crimes to be created. And this was because of Obama's White House task force for new Americans. And also some of these offices are being created in some of the states. And specifically one we were combating was the one that was trying to be created in California. So we did send a letter. The response was poor. And in March of 2016 of last year, I customized that letter and resent it and sent it to the 4 remaining GOP presidential candidates at the time. And of course, Donald Trump was one of them, and he responded immediately. He's the only candidate, by the way, who responded to our letters in 2015 and in 2016 in asking for a creation of an office to help these families become whole, because it is a very different crime. Because what we have here are judges, DAs, who are activist judges, and at times we've learned that even our victimized family, American family, has been barred from giving, for example, a victim's impact statement. And that is absolutely wrong. You know, so they mislead them or misguide them, and they don't even tell them of some of the hearings because they're activist prosecutors. So, and President Trump now, the agreement that he said that he would support in the Trump administration was simply this. We asked for burial, medical, and counseling assistance, and also assistance through the court system or legal assistance, because that's what they need most. And people say, well, there are counseling out there. There is also a victims advocacy group out there in each state. But what we're finding is that as soon as this issue having to do with illegal aliens arises within that case, that issue comes up, I guess, I don't know, the activists, DAs or whatnot, they don't treat them the same in how they should be treated. A counselor might, really kind of, they say, tense up, and this is from a family's words, this council tenses up when they talk about illegal aliens and how the government failed them. And how can you get counseling to assist you and really work when the person that is supposed to be helping you has an issue with this, with their words or what they're talking about?
Indeed.
Maria, I need to jump in. This is Debbie. We are 10 seconds away from a firm break. Can you hold on during the break?
Yes.
Thanks so much. We're speaking to Maria Espinoza, founder and National Director for the Remembrance Project, and we want to talk to us a little bit more, so come right back after our break. And welcome back. I'm Debbie Georgatos, and we have online tonight Maria Espinoza. It's just an amazing organization she has formed, an amazing story they have. She's co-founder and National Director of the Remembrance Project. Okay, so Maria, I have to tell you that we have this new thing on our show. We have a call-in message line. People can leave messages ahead of time, so we put out who's going to be on the show. And we have a question for you. I believe we have it lined up over there with Happy Greg, who runs the boards. Thank goodness. Do we have our question?
I have a question for your guest from the Remembrance Project. Maria, do you believe that the American Immigration Council narrative that focuses on or states that immigrants commit fewer crimes than non-immigrants, is that a canard or is that a misdirection by them? Or is there any merit in what they claim? Thanks.
Okay. Sure, and thank you for that. And first of all, right out of the box, Debbie, I think that any crime committed by someone who should not have been here was preventable. Unless you are the recipient of that crime, then I don't think that people really take a close look at that. So, how many lives is it okay to lose? How many Americans is okay? What's that magic number that, after this many people we are going to allow to be killed by illegal aliens? That's the first question, because I think that everyone will agree that if it was your family member who was victimized, then people will speak up. Secondly, that statement, I believe that they mix illegal aliens with legal immigrants, and that's so unfair. There's no such thing, first of all, as an illegal immigrant. So our definitions here in the United States has to change. They have to be correct in what they're being spoken. So it's really an illegal alien. An immigrant is someone who arrives the right way. And yes, immigrants, that immigrant demographic or population does commit fewer crimes because guess what? Because they have gone through the process. They appreciate being here in our country. They have applied, they have paid, they have waited, they have been vetted. So immigrants do commit a lower percentage of crimes. However, illegal aliens combined with immigrants, that certainly is a skewed number, or I guess statistic is what they're talking about here. But so let's just bring it back to number one. No crimes should be committed by those who shouldn't have been in the country in the first place.
Couldn't agree more. In fact, you know what? I'll tell you, I have some statistics in front of me, and yes, I've been warned 1,000 times that no one can follow numbers on the air. Yes, I know this, so I'm going to try to say this, but you're exactly right. The people who try to argue that it's wrong to focus in on illegal alien crime, number one, if it's anyone's a victim, that's one too many because committed by an action committed by someone who wasn't supposed to be here. But the other data, there were two bits of data out from the Government Accountability Office, and they both really just kind of shoot to smithereens this argument that, this is silly to focus on illegal aliens. And again, I will tell you that criminal aliens, both legal and illegal, make up 27% of all federal prisoners, even though they're only about 9% of the nation's adult population. Therefore, non-citizens commit federal crimes at 3 times the rate of citizens. That's number one. Number two, this is the U.S. Government Accountability Office. The second one was even more upsetting, which looks at the criminal histories of 55,000 aliens who entered the country illegally and were still here illegally at the time they were incarcerated. Of those 55,000 who were in that case, arrested and still illegally entered, still illegal when they got arrested, they had been arrested. The total number of those 55,000 having been illegal aliens, this was all for fiscal year 2003, by the way, so it's probably far worse now, but this is the data they had. They've been arrested almost 500,000 times, an average of 8.3 arrests per illegal alien, 8.3 arrests per illegal alien, and committed almost 700,000 offenses, roughly 12.7 offenses per alien. So this is I don't even know what to call it. It's fake news. How about that? Fake news. Okay. So that question, I was glad to have that question because I think that's one completely unjustified attack people make on the work of exposing illegal aliens and stopping illegal immigration to America. And the truth is, it is very problematic. We could probably talk to you for hours, Maria, but we have to roll. This show is just sadly too short every week. I do want to ask you if you could share with our listeners, how can they support the Remembrance Project?
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Yes, we can go on our website, theremembranceproject.org, and of course, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so your generous donation, $5, $20, anything, we will gladly be good stewards of your dollars, and we just ask for your support. We're not just in Texas, we're, of course, all over and nationwide, and, we're doing all we can. We're hard at work. We work 7 days a week, obviously, anywhere from 12 to 18 hours, depends on what's going on. And we're just being so blessed. God has a big hand in this little organization, Debbie. So, we ask for prayers and stay involved, stay engaged for certain. Please stay engaged because we have a good man in the White House right now. He is certainly pro-American, but he needs all your help. And thank you again, Debbie, for speaking out and for your voice and for giving us the opportunity as well. So thank you.
Maria Espinoza, thank you so very much for calling in. Love talking to you. And my friends, I do encourage you to go to their website and support this amazing organization. Okay, this is our end of the first hour. We usually have a cruise through the news. And in case we get a magical time warp, I have 10 stories. But in case we don't, I have a couple stories. I want to ask Lori and Lori, my Right View Roundtable here, their views on them. The first one, it's almost laughable, but I just have to bring it up. This is as my dad used to love to say, this is a true story. But the Washington Post actually ran an article questioning whether or not a Heritage Foundation pool reporter covering Vice President Pence crossed the line into biased journalism. Like they try to talk about, we have partisan and then we have media and the lines are being blurred. They're complaining a Heritage Foundation person was permitted as a pool reporter and covering Vice President Pence on Thursday, coming from the Washington Post. Any irony here, anybody? Or
you can just call me Medina tonight, just to keep it clear. So, listen, I mean. Actually, next to your link on my paper, I wrote, "Who cares?" Yeah. Because really, who cares? I'm all for if they want to revolutionize that press pool, then they should bring everybody in. They should bring in Heritage. They should bring in Breitbart. They should bring in Slate. They should bring in BuzzFeed.
HuffPo.
That's right. They should bring everybody in. Everybody has an opinion. Let them all speak.
I'm just floored.
Who cares?
But I'm floored, though, that Washington Post thinks of themselves my point was, as unbiased media.
Right.
I mean, they're claiming, here we are hold up these high standards of integrity, and we're so neutral and fair, and they're with the Washington Post, for crying out loud.
They are claiming to be the moral authority. That's what they're claiming to be. Sorry, go ahead.
That's your big point on moral authority. You're right. Anything to add?
I just think that the media in general, they need to focus on just reporting the truth and the facts for us all and let us make up our own minds instead of them trying to filter everything for us. I don't think that gives enough respect really to the American people. I mean, we're smart enough to make up our own minds. Just give us the facts, give us the truth, we'll do the rest.
Yep, perfect. I love that. That was Lori G, Lori M. Okay, so here's another story. I actually find this rather amazing, but I do have a serious commentary about it. So Pitzer College, just see if you don't happen to know this school, it's part of the Claremont schools, which are considered very respectable, high, kind of highfalutin intellectual schools in California. Pitzer College has one wall that they call the Freedom of Speech wall, and people can do graffiti on it. So someone wrote on the Freedom of Speech wall at Pitzer, "White girl, take off your hoop earrings."
Well, it was Hispanic girls that did that. That wrote that on the wall.
Right. So, and she was not only. So my point is, this what is going on at Pitzer is, so someone writes this on the free speech wall, and some buddy probably from Iowa or something, a white student said, why are they complaining? Why can't I wear hoop earrings? And so the person who wrote it on the wall is a resident assistant, RA. I was an RA in college. I would have been fired as an RA had I mouthed off as this girl did. She wrote the entire school to basically say certain cultural things only Hispanic and black students should be allowed to do because otherwise it constitutes cultural appropriation. And I realize I may be sounding insensitive, and I'm sorry if I do. Maybe someone wants to chime in and say I'm being insensitive, but I would just say this. Of all the issues in the world, really? We're going to talk about hoop earrings and who gets there was something about eyeliner, and you can't do a certain thing with your eyeliner if you're not black or Hispanic. I mean, just really, this is this entitled, minority outrage over hoop earrings. I
thought this was supposed to be the melting pot. I thought we were supposed to go to college and learn about other cultures and learn about other viewpoints. And now I'm being lectured on my earrings. This it's just insane. I mean, and really, this is kind of the definition of the whole snowflake, identity movement kind of thing. Of every tiny little thing offends them. I mean, I actually wrote "Who cares" next to that one too.
Geez, I've got a bunch of "Who cares." Do you care, Lori G?
I just think it's getting a little outrageous. I mean, everybody. What's wrong with being able to express yourself? You may not agree with what somebody else is doing or how they're expressing themselves, but my goodness, we all have the right to express ourselves. So it's going too far when you're trying to tell people what they can and cannot do, and then going even further saying that it's culturally offensive or it only belongs to a certain culture and no one else is allowed to speak about it. I mean, that's just going way, way too far, especially on a college campus where you're supposed to have freedom of thought.
I just thought of something when you were talking. Plus, whatever happened to be, what is the expression? Emulation is the highest form of
flattery.
Flattery. I mean, what is that? What about? I mean, I would love if anyone who knows me, I never set fashion trends. Everyone knows this. But if I ever did, I'd be flattered.
Exactly.
If I actually did something like, well, I'm trying to dress like her. That's never happened my entire life. But I think it's a cool idea. Honestly, why not be flattered that people are, trying to copy even if some particular fashion thing did begin in a particular community. Okay, I only have 6 more stories, but this guy is going to start playing music while I'm trying to talk. This is Debbie Georgatos, Lori Medina, Lori Gear, America Can We Talk. We come back after the break. We're going to go back to the health care bill. I want to find out what this ladies think we ought to do in Washington. Don't go away.